What gets a lot of hate but actually isn't hurting anyone. Fortnite. I don't enjoy the game at all, as I played a ton of PUBG and got burnt out on Battle Royale type games. I also get that it's mostly annoying children playing it and that the whole V-Bucks thing is dumb, but I totally understand why it's popular. It's a free, cross-platform game that gets consistent updates with new content. Things kids do, TikTok trends, Fortnite, etc. They're fucking children. What do you expect? Grown-ass adults will be legitimately angry over something a 12-year-old is doing because it's scringy. What's scringy is an adult being invested in what kids on the internet are doing and criticizing them for doing what kids do, but it's annoying. No shit, they're kids. Don't watch it, but it's immature of them to do this. Dumb. They're not mature. Children tend not to be. They think they're grown/smart/etc. Maybe they do. Maybe they know they're being silly. Either way, it literally does not matter. Imperfect art. I am an unofficial, amateur artist who just draws for fun. I normally only draw people. This past month I drew Rengoku from Demon Slayer, and although it had a lot of flaws, I was proud of it anyway and posted it on Instagram. People told me that my art was horrible, and to be honest, I know they were expecting the perfect, unrealistic art that so many people do. It's caused me to hate on perfect art and love imperfect art. TikTok celebrities/social media influencers. I saw one of the D'Amelio sister getting a lot of hate for being in a Vogue video. Seriously, what else was she supposed to do? Tell them that she is undeserving? While that might seem like a good option to few people, we're forgetting that they work in the entertainment industry. It would have been very stupid of her if she hadn't taken up on the offer. LGBT and colored people in TV. It's not their fault that the chars are bland and shallow, but the writers and/or producers, directors. No one actually gives a damn if your char is gay as long as it's a character of their own, but everyone will hate a char when all it has going for them is being lesbian or black. Web scraping. Maybe not something as strong as hate, but definitely bad reputation among those who ever heard of it. Even among those who know technology. Kind of like AI before, except now AI is getting a more positive rep as the industry develops, whereas web scraping doesn't necessarily have a career as sophisticated as AI and even outlawed to some extent. Web scraping isn't used for DOS, or at least there are much easier ways to DOS than web scraping. It doesn't put stress on the server, it'll literally go to a website like a normal user, request data, and the server will give a response. It's literally just a normal user that will follow the instructions given. The unproblematic majority of the furry fandom. Every fandom has its toxic members, but for some reason furries get so much more hate for it than any other community. Just let us draw and dress up as anthropomorphic animals in peace. Oh. And before someone says it's a LL says ULNGROSS, almost the entire fandom is non-sexual and SFW. Remember when everyone hated on Britney, then discovered she was basically a prisoner of her parents? Then that other time everyone hated on Paris Hilton, only to learn that her parents had her kidnapped and sent to a desert reform camp. It's almost as though there's a reason people act inappropriately, and usually it stems from being treated inappropriately for most of their lives. Feeling like a kid even as you get older. Being an adult is boring as hell, and sometimes it's good to step away from that for a bit and just be fun and crazy like you were as a kid. Plus, having that side of you can help make parenting easier and more enjoyable. I'm like that with my little cousins. They're toddlers, and since they haven't been able to see their school friends because of the pandemic, I've stepped in and engaged with them on whatever silly kid things they wanna do. The other day the youngest one decided she wanted to brush my hair, so I let her lol. And with the other one, he's old enough to play video games, so I play games with him when he wants to. In a way, I'm preparing myself for whenever I have my own children, and I do plan on being the fun silly dad when I have kids. People in their 30s, 40s and older openly being nerdy. It's sad other people that age still give us crap for it at times. Speaking as an almost 40 nerd myself, seriously, if we hold a job, pay bills, have your own place, and do everything else required of your average adult, then who cares how we spend our time? If we do all that same as you, then I'd say we've grown up all we need to as far as I'm concerned. Furries, I'm talking about the SFW ones. Someone I was friends with in high school kind of broke it down for me that he just likes creating colorful fantasy characters, animals. His fursuit was cool, and it often helped him be more outgoing and open with people, and it let his personality shine. As an illustrator, cartoonist who makes plenty of characters, occasionally animal ones too, I don't see the issue with furries. People act like I've committed a sin when I tell them I don't mind them. I kinda think they're cool. I just don't dig the NSFW furries, where it delves into something potentially fetishistic. Hot take: wearing masks. It's pretty easy. If you have a health condition that makes it difficult, okay, I can understand that. But arranging potentially violent protests and rallies against wearing a piece of fucking fabric on your face, simply idiotic. Burping and farting is frowned upon in my culture. Also, if you need any free from diet, and you ask, I cannot eat X, is there any X in the food? You are fussy, accusing the cook of poisoning attempt, wanting attention and pity, disrespecting the national cuisine, asking for famine to strike, and generally disrupting the peace. Mumble rap. Sometimes I want to hear some hype shit that means nothing and I get drunk and dance to it. Lol, I'm a huge fan of conscience rap like Joey Badass and of course the GOAT Call, but damn, sometimes I get tired of those sorta depressing songs that make me relive my struggle days of living in the hood. Those sitcoms that aren't very good, 2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, etc. I don't like them either, but people out there acting like it's the decline of civilization or some shit need to get a grip. It's just a sitcom, who fucking cares? My dad liked to watch The Big Bang Theory, and it gave him some joy to do so. Not every show is made specifically for you, so just let it be, and maybe spend more time talking about what you do like. Bella Pork. I don't know her too well. TikTok is banned in my country, but I know enough and about the few controversies, which she apologized for and corrected them, and people mindlessly hating on that girl. People present really stupid arguments against her. It's a personal choice. We don't know the reason for it, and even then, it shouldn't matter. Majority of the country are pro-choice in some form. The hate it gets is real. It's funny, because most people don't like government controlling their lives, but my uterus is up for grabs. I've never been pregnant, but my friends have, and watching what being pregnant can do to a woman's body. Some have perfect pregnancies, others are so high risk it is holding your breath anxiety, plus the changes. I had a friend who developed Bell's palsy in her face. It never really went away. Another developed diabetes. I mean, being pregnant is a wonderful thing for women who want it. Yes, adoption is an option, but you are still asking a woman to risk her body for an unwanted pregnancy that could either go perfectly or horribly. We have great medical advances, but women still die in childbirth. The only time I get iffy on our late-term ones, which rarely happens and usually for a good reason. I was born at 24 weeks, so I know babies are viable at that point, even if it isn't in NICU receiving heavy medical care. But even then, it's not my business. The biggest point I always think of on this issue is this: a dead body has more bodily autonomy than a woman, and that's really sad. Furries. The ones that aren't actually sexually interested in animals. They aren't doing anything but dressing up and vibing. The amount of hate they get is unreasonable. I've heard stories of 12-year-olds getting bullied into committing the unlive just for being a furry. There's a difference between zoophiles and furries. coloring hair not normal color. I get so many sour looks from people, and people who used to be friendly suddenly started giving me a cold shoulder when I want different colors. Like, honestly, not hurting anyone, just having fun. Doesn't have to be a midlife crisis, or a cry for help, or turning to the wild side. It's just a little color in my hair. Deal. Side note, this is not specific to any age group. I've had people from all age groups pay compliments as well. Gay and trans people just existing and trying to live their lives. Gay panic defense. I thought they were making a pass at me, so I killed them. But it's their fault. Is still permissible in more than 3/4 of the 50 states in the USA, and several governments around the world make homosexuality illegal. In some cultures, disapproving family members have lawfully murdered their gay or trans relatives in what are, inappropriately, called honor killings. And don't even get me started on bathroom bills and just general everyday treatment and respect for our fellow human beings separate and apart from laws and governmental scapegoating of LGBTQ+ people. Cisgender heterosexual male. Here, BTW. Wanting to eat only bland or safe food, aka being a picky eater. First off, it's a neurodivergent trait arising from sensory processing issues, and second, feel free to add whatever seasoning or additional ingredients you want to your own food. There's no need to force it on me or to make fun of me for going with my safe choice. Everyone's tastes are different. There is no moral component. Crocs, those plastic-like shoes. They don't look that great, but by Telos, they are comfortable. Man, I spend a lot of money for shoes and gel soles and whatnot, and all I had to do was put on a pair of Crocs, and I can actually stand all day without my legs falling off. This may be an unwelcome surprise, but furries. I even used to hate furries, but I had no actually reason. I just heard people saying furries are disgusting and thought that it may be true. But then I just one day actually looked up what a furry is and discovered I am one. But there are all these stereotypes about us just liking porn and all related subjects, but really we just like to draw animals, not even always anthropomorphized. And people think we just sit around all day looking at porn, and I don't wanna too deep into what people say just to keep this SFW. In reality, furries know how to party, and I have not met a single furry who looks at porn, so I rest my case. Being asked to adjust small things in your life to be more kind and respectful to people, like changing a pronoun for a person, or pressing 1 to continue in English on a service call, or not using a toilet stall reserved for the disabled. These are very minor inconveniences we do because we want to be kinder to different people. Just don't be such a whiny asshole about it, please. Pit bulls. People hate on pit bulls just because maybe 1 or 2 famous pit bull attacks went viral, and that some can look mean and aggressive. Their personality and aggressiveness depends on how they are raised, treated. Scientists find that pit bulls are way more loyal and lovable than golden retrievers and labradors. It hurts how mistreated and hated they are. The homophobic and sexist from man to woman. You are a devil if you say Merrick or you do something to a woman. But when you are a woman and hurt a man, you are just defending yourself without counting the acts. Like a famous stupid feminist on Spain says, the sex that is below cannot attack the above sex. You are fakely oppressed and you cannot oppress. Great argue. The 27th release of Call of Duty, Battlefield, Spider-Man, Pokemon. Someone out there will enjoy it, and it might not be you. That just means you aren't the demographic anymore, and that's fine. Tastes change and so does media. This has been said to death, but literally anything the younger generation is into. We get mad when boomers shit on millennials for liking things in their age range, and still millennials are doing the exact same thing with the younger generations. Fortnite, not my thing, but you have fun, kiddo. You'll have great childhood memories. TikTok, don't have one, but the teenage girl who does is having a great time sharing that dance she learned and being silly with her friends. They can like the new hot thing. The majority of furries and pop fans are just trying to vibe. I get so tired of watching people shat on and called cringe just because they're brave enough to do what makes them happy. A lot of the posts I see in cringe subreddits and cringe compilations just look like people having a good time and minding their own business. Violence in video games. No one shot up someplace because of a game, as most people are smart enough to recognize the difference between a game and reality. They shot up the place because they're a psycho. Trigger warnings/content warnings. Most of the time it's just a little heads up that hey, something is coming up that may make some people uncomfortable. If it's just in your free time, you can then choose to continue or not. After all, sometimes you're not really in the mood to think about people getting brutally murdered. Sometimes it's good to be able to take a moment to prepare before looking at some bloody picture. In a school setting it can be more complicated at times, but sometimes you need to step out for a bit or whatever. Maybe in certain situations you need to talk to the teacher, professor, because you seriously can't handle the topic, especially if you had personal experience with it. But most of the time the situation is pretty understandable and things can be accommodated. For example, I remember having to watch a video about the AIDS crisis for class, but it was assigned so we could watch it on our own, which allowed me to pause it and take breaks because that's a really intense topic and I needed time to process and deal with my emotions. Harder to watch something and get the information that will be tested on when you're crying too hard to see. In high school, my literature teacher spent a lot of time on the Holocaust and showed us way worse things than we had seen up to that point. She always warned us and told us we could look away or step out in the hall at any time if it got too intense. Honestly, just her warning about how bad things were really helped because I could take a moment to kinda brace myself for it, which can definitely help more than you might think. Plus there are content warnings on a lot of things already, like movies and video games. It gives the age rating and lists some reasons it was rated that, so you can make the choice of whether you want to see it or let your kid play it. There's more specific things that people debate about with them, but the basic idea of just giving people a little heads up before challenging content is great. It's kinda like the idea of informed consent. You get an idea of what you're in for before you click the link and see the video of someone being killed instead of it just auto-playing on your social media feed. I would say to fictional people getting shipped with each other, I can understand shipping to real people is bad, that can legitimately strain a relationship, like the Jacksuit-to-X Markiplier thing, but I believe people just get too worked up over fictional ships. An example for me is Pico ex-boyfriend from the FNF community. Either people love it or loathe it. Skeptical. Anything that interests teenagers. I often see grown adults shitting on things that interests teenagers and making fun of them. Give them a break. They're just trying to figure out things. There's already enough pressure coming from people their own age. In all honesty, just let people enjoy what they makes them happy, no matter the age. Pop culture and sentimental movies and trash TV. Okay, sometimes movies depict harmful stereotypes and TV shows can be harmful to the participants and/or the public in various ways, but not all of them, not all the time. There are shows that are poorly made or stupid, but please let me enjoy some hours of brainless entertainment in my own house, in my own time, without being judged. Letting people enjoy their basic shit. Come on, can we please stop hating on specifically teenage girls and women for liking things that are marketed to and meant for them? Also boys/teenagers/men being into fashion things. Most people think tomboys are adorable, but stop the fucking presses if a boy has a doll or something equally stupid. Quirky personal interest. From doll collecting to being a furry, all of this personal interests that are a source of joy and happiness for someone and aren't promoting something dangerous are frequently hated on. If you're one of those person who hate others for their interest, hobby, here's my best advice to you: just stop, you insufferable burden to society. Romance novels. There is such a stigma about just this one little genre, it's crazy. People are more ashamed of reading a romance novel than of watching porn. You can't even mention it without people giving you the side eye and assuming you're borderline illiterate. Meanwhile, just like any other genre, there are great writers and terrible writers. There are amazing books and absolute garbage. I assume people shit all over it because primarily women read it. The word moist. I'm not bothered by it, and I bet you the reader are not bothered by it either. But someone said they were bothered by it and made a big deal about it, so you did too. It's just a word and it's not the worst. Is in fact the worst word. Moist, moist, moist. People doing things poorly. I see people hating on, making fun of others who are learning a new skill or hobby. They post their work and see about how awful it is. Yeah, the person just started. Of course they're not Michelangelo yet. I don't understand why people get so angry about it.